It was almost certainly the single bloodiest day of events since the start of the Arab Spring 2 years ago. Egyptian officials say that 525 people were killed when troops raided protest camps in cities across the country, though opponents say the true number could be 4 times as many. There have been protest marches in both Cairo and Alexandria today. Here in the capital, one government building was attacked and set ablaze. But the overwhelming scene here today was of bodies recovered, piling up across the city, and of that grief. And be warned, this report from our Foreign Affairs correspondent Jonathan Rugman contains some distressing images.
In a mosque in eastern Cairo, grief and disbelief after Egypt's government killed hundreds of its own people on a single day. The Imam Mosque is full of bodies. We reckoned around 200, though in this chaos it was hard to tell. The dead and the living jostling for space. One coffin was being used as an ice bucket to keep the bodies cool, but in the heat of a Cairo summer, the ice kept running low. They're trying to keep the place clean, but a religious sanctuary has become a morgue. This doctor told me most had been shot in the chest or head. Many were badly burned. Scores of bodies are still in this mosque because they haven't been claimed by their relatives, sometimes because they're too badly burned to be recognised. The word massacre does seem to fit the picture here. Egypt's own health ministry now admits that over 200 people died near here yesterday, but the government blames the protesters.
We will continue going to the streets peacefully until they kill us all. This is our message for them. We will not carry guns. We will always be peaceful. And we will die. That's it. Because yesterday what happened, today, you can see here, there are people are burned alive. Not alive, but people are burned. You cannot even recognize them. The relatives cannot recognize them. How the hell they did this?
In Giza, though, there was violence. State television said hundreds of supporters of Egypt's ousted president had stormed and torched local government buildings this afternoon. And the Interior Ministry has been honouring its dead. 43 policemen reported killed yesterday in the pursuit of security and safety, the ministry said. Egypt ratcheting up its martyrs on both sides of its bitter divide. This is where most of those dead protesters we filmed were killed. The government assault against them lasted over 12 hours. Their sprawling 6-week-old tent city was burned to the ground, regardless of what the rest of the world thinks. Thousands of Egyptians were camped out here yesterday, till police snipers and bulldozers moved in. A scorched earth policy that's put the army back in control. Hundreds of abandoned shoes, evidence perhaps of a terrifyingly fast retreat. These streets are now being cleared at breakneck speed. And Egyptian tourists are taking photographs of a crime scene they're delighted to see erased. I'm happy the protesters have gone, this woman told me. They are terrorists, and I hope they stay away from here forever. They are not good for Egypt. Behind her and gutted by fire, the mosque from where the Muslim Brotherhood hoped to engineer a second Arab Spring, which would see its toppled leader reinstated. But a short drive away, the Brotherhood's anger still boils. Egypt will stay Islamic, they chant. We have God on our side. Yesterday they were shot and killed in their hundreds, but their demands for justice have not died with them. Jonathan Rugman, Channel 4 News, Cairo.
Well, in the aftermath of yesterday's violence, there's also been a wave of attacks on Egypt's Christian minority. Dozens of Coptic churches, monasteries and schools have been ransacked, including the Suhaj Church in Giza, which was set on fire allegedly by Muslim Brotherhood supporters. That's something the organisation has denied, but the army has offered to help rebuild the churches and says 84 people will face military prosecutors charged with burning churches and murder. Now, this issue is one of many things that the Egyptian interim government has jumped on as it seeks to square blame on the Muslim Brotherhood for everything that's happened over the last 24 hours. They've been giving out this list of attacks on Coptic Christian churches. It's titled The Biggest Attack on Christian Churches Since the 14th Century. Earlier today, I was handed this DVD by officials titled Violence of the Muslim Brotherhood. And earlier today, amid this propaganda war that's going on between both sides, I met the Foreign Ministry spokesman, Dr. Badr Abdelatty. As I arrived at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Dr. Abdelatty insisted on showing me some footage which he claimed showed the Muslim Brotherhood opening fire on the police first.
As you see, the police is asking them, calling them to disperse peacefully, and they are using firearms, as you see.
Are you saying the army and the police did nothing wrong?
Well, number one, the police imposed self-restraint. They did their best, to disperse the citizens peacefully. They refused. This is number one. Number two, the figures you are giving, they are everywhere in the whole government, in the whole country.
But this footage you just showed me is in response to a massacre. I mean, hundreds of people were being killed, and so a few of them took up arms. This wasn't taking place before yesterday, was it?
Well, even before that, if you recall, before the dispersing of the sit-in yesterday, those protesters used weapons, violence against not only the security forces, but also to the ordinary people. There is no single respected government all over the world which respect its own people can accept the people to gather and sit-in for more than a month, having weapons, using violence.
Okay, what now? What will happen now?
What will happen is the following. We have to look to the future. We have to implement the roadmap announced by the authorities on the 3rd of July with the acceptance of most of the political forces in this country.
Excluding the Muslim Brotherhood?
Absolutely.
Because they will not take part now?
Absolutely no. They are invited to join
but they will not take part now because you have killed hundreds of their people.
No.
So it will go ahead regardless?
No. You have to be careful. Look to what happened on the ground. The police started by dispersing them by water guns, and when if you look to the videos carefully, you will find that the start of shootings came from inside the sit-in, not from the police. The police was reacting. And I can challenge you, if there is any respected government all over the world can accept, a situation like that.
But there is no independent proof of that. We just have to take your surveillance video and you can manipulate it to show whatever you want.
It's been aired by TV channels.
State TV channels?
No, independent and state. Because the police yesterday invited foreign correspondents, invited representatives of human rights NGOs to come to listen, to see what's going on, and of course to survey what's happening. So we have to be careful. This is what happened, and that was the minimum casualties. Of course, the loss of one single life of Egyptians is very, very bad, is a matter of regret. But again, you have at the end of the story to impose security and public order. Look to your country, the Great Britain, or any other country like United States. They dispersed, Wall Street sit-in with a big difference.
So why?
In our case, they have had machine guns and weapons. In your case, they have had stones or sticks and so on.
Your own vice president disagrees. He has resigned in protest, saying it was wrong.
Well, again, it's up to him, of course, to stay, to resign. I cannot comment. It's up to him.
The Egyptian Foreign Ministry spokesman, Dr. Badr Abdelatty, speaking to me earlier.